Assalamualaikum everyone, I'm Momna and we will be discussing O-level mensuration today. Now O-level mensuration mein you can have two types of questions. You can get a question on 2D shapes or you can get a question on 3D shapes. Now we will start off by discussing 2D shapes and we will slowly move to 3D shapes. In 2D shapes, they can ask you to calculate the area of a shape. They can ask you to calculate the perimeter of the shape, or they can ask you to calculate a side of the shape. The first shape that we will be discussing is a triangle. Now a triangle, tri basically means 3, so a triangle is any 3-sided closed shape. So this can be a triangle, this can be a triangle, or this can be a triangle. Now the first thing that they can ask you to calculate is the perimeter of a triangle. So always remember, the perimeter of a triangle is the sum of all its 3 sides. So for example, let's say in this triangle, this is A, this is side B, this is side C. So perimeter will equal to A plus B plus C. Next, they can ask you to calculate the area of a triangle. Now, the area of a triangle, I'm sure all of you know, is half into base into height. But the question is, which side is the base? Which side of a triangle is the height? Now, always remember, you are free to choose the base. So, let me zoom in. In this triangle, let's say I take A as my base. The condition on height, however, is that it should be the 90-degree distance between your baseline and the point where the other two sides meet. What do I mean by that? So let's take A as my base. The point where the other two sides meet is this point. So the other two sides are B and C. So this is the point where the other two sides meet. The perpendicular or the 90-degree distance between this point and your baseline. So if I draw a perpendicular, which is a 90-degree distance, it should be approximately like this. Now this is your height. Now if I take C as my base, so if I'm taking C as my base, then the perpendicular distance between C and the point where the other two sides meet, which is this point, will be this. So this is going to be your height. If I take B as my base, the point where the other two lines meet is this point over here, and the perpendicular distance between the baseline and this point will be this. So this is going to be our height. To conclude everything, always remember that in a triangle, every triangle has 3 bases and 3 heights depending on the base that you choose, and your height is always the 90-degree distance between the baseline and the point where the other two lines meet. To further clear this concept, let's try to do this question. So you have a triangle, they've given you some of the sides of the triangle and they're asking you to calculate the area and the perimeter of the triangle. So let's start with area. Area is half into base into height. All right. Now, if I take this side as my base, 2 centimeters as my base, what will be the height? It is going to be the perpendicular distance from the point where the other two lines meet to your baseline. So the point where the other two lines meet is this point over here. This is your baseline, which has been extended, and the perpendicular distance from this baseline is this dotted line that has been drawn. So this is your height, but you do not have the height. How will you calculate the area? Pause this video and think a little bit about this. To calculate the area, first you need to calculate the height. Now you can see if I draw this diagram as a whole, this whole length is 5 centimeters. So this I'm going to draw as 5 centimeters. This is a right angle and this is 11 centimeters. You can see that over here you have a right angled triangle where the hypotenuse is given, the base is given. You can simply calculate the height by applying the Pythagoras theorem, which states that hypotenuse square is equals to your base square plus your perpendicular square. So your hypotenuse in this question is 11. Your base is 5 and perpendicular is what you need to calculate. So you will do 11 square minus 25 under root is equals to x. Your x from here should equal to 9.80 centimeters. Now you have your height. You can simply just plug in both these values to calculate the area of the triangle. So your area will equal to half into 2 into 9.80. You can cancel the 2's out and you get 9.80 centimeters square as your answer. Now to calculate the perimeter, you need to add all three sides. So the three sides of the triangle is, this is A, this is B, this is C. You have two sides. You want to calculate the third side. How will we do this? Pause the video, think about it. I'll give you a little hint. It will be done in a similar way in which we calculated the height. So this time the triangle that I'm going to draw is this triangle over here. This triangle over here. So now your base is going to be 3 centimeters, not 5, and this height you have already calculated, which is 9.80. This time you have your base and you have your perpendicular. So you will apply your Pythagoras theorem to get your hypotenuse, which will be 9.80 square plus 3 square under root, which equals to 10.25 centimeters. So now this is 11, this is 2, this is 10.25. You can calculate your perimeter by doing 11 plus 2 plus 10.25 and you get 23.25 centimeters as your answer. Please don't forget the units. The next shape that we will be discussing is a square. Now a square is a quadrilateral. Quad means 4. That means it is a closed shape with 4 sides and 4 vertices. So this is a square. Now what makes a square so special is the fact that it has all sides equal. So all the 4 sides of a square are equal. Now if you want to calculate the perimeter of the square, then again what you will do is you will add all the 4 sides. So let's say I've only given you this one side L. How will you calculate the perimeter? We just discussed that all the 4 sides are equal. So if this is L, this is going to be L, this is going to be L, this is going to be L. So perimeter will be the sum of all 4 sides, which means L plus L plus L plus L, which is equal to 4L. Now you can either do it by adding all the 4 sides or you can just memorize this formula to calculate the perimeter of the square. Now the next thing is the area of a square. So the formula for the area of the square is length times length, which is equals to L square. This you will have to memorize. There is no shortcut for this. The third shape that we will be talking about is a rectangle. Again, it's a quadrilateral, which means it has 4 sides. But what makes a rectangle different from a square is the fact that only the opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. So let's say if I say this is length, yeah, this is L. The opposite side is this side over here, this side over here. So this is also going to equal to L. Similarly, अगर मैं कहती हूँ कि ये वाली side मेरी W है, ठीक है? So the opposite side is going to equal to W. What makes a square and a rectangle different is that in a square, all 4 sides are equal, and in a rectangle, only the opposite sides are equal. Now the perimeter of a rectangle again is the sum of all 4 sides. It's a quadrilateral, it has 4 sides, so the perimeter will be the sum of all the 4 sides. If you calculate the sum of the 4 sides, you get L plus W, which equals to 2L plus 2W, which is your formula that you learn for the perimeter of a rectangle. The area for the rectangle is length into width, and again, like a square, you will have to memorize this. Now this is where things get a little bit tricky. The fourth shape that we will be discussing is a rhombus and a parallelogram. So this is a rhombus and this is a parallelogram. Now you can, if you have not already noticed, in a parallelogram, like a rectangle, only the two opposite sides are equal. And in a rhombus, all four sides are equal, like a square. The area for a rhombus and a parallelogram, the formula for the area is the same, which is length into height. Now again, what is the length? What is the height? So this side over here is your length, and your height is always at a 90 degree to your length. That means that this is your height, this can be your height, this can be your height, all three are equal. Similarly, in a rhombus, if this is your length, then this can be your height, this can be your height, this can be your height. The perimeter again is going to be the sum of all four sides. So let's say this is length, this is W, so this is also going to equal to W, this will equal to your length. So your perimeter will be this, which is the same as the perimeter of a rectangle. Similarly, for rhombus, what you can do is you can do L plus L plus L plus L, which is equal to 4L, like a square. The last shape that we will be talking about in this video is a trapezium. Now, what is a trapezium and what makes it so special? Always remember that a trapezium is a quadrilateral, which means it's a four-sided closed shape in which two of the sides are parallel and the other two sides are not parallel. For example, this is a trapezium. So you can see in a trapezium, these two sides over here are parallel, and these two sides, let's say this is A, this is B, are not parallel. Similarly, this can also be a trapezium. So the parallel sides is, let's say this is A, this is B, and the non-parallel sides are C and D. Let's name this trapezium in a similar way. So the parallel sides are A and B, and the other sides are C and D. Now, obviously, like every other shape, the perimeter will equal to sum of all four sides, which means A plus B plus C plus D. Nothing new. But when you're talking about the area, the formula for the area of the trapezium is half into base into sum of parallel sides, right? Now, the parallel sides you have. So if you're looking at this first figure, it's going to be half into sum of parallel sides, which is A plus B. Now, what is going to be your height? Always remember that in your trapezium, your height is always the 90 degree distance between the parallel lines. So in this case, in this first case over here, your height will equal to, so if A and B are your parallel lines, your height will be this, which is C. So you will do multiplied by C. If you're looking at this second trapezium, your parallel sides are again A and B. So you will do half into A plus B. This time your height again is the perpendicular distance, but this time it is this length over here. So you will do multiplied by D. There is a very common confusion when doing this, is that we always think that height is vertical. Height is not necessarily vertical. You just need to make sure that it is following the rules. So in a trapezium, the rule is that the height is the perpendicular distance between the two parallel lines. So these are your two parallel lines, and this over here is the perpendicular distance, which is D, between the two parallel lines.